Greetings and welcome to the 16th episode of Oblivion House Mod Hunters, and as always I'm your host Dark Elf Guy, and today we have 3 more housing mods for your viewing pleasure, looking at some of the estates, manors and, small homes in the landscapes of Cyrodiil. And this time around we actually have a bit of an overall, sort of evilish theme really. From Necromancer's lairs to dark foreboding towers, there's a lot for, potentially darkly inclined players to enjoy here. But first, as always, you can find all the download links for all the mods shown down in the video description below. And now let's get started with our popular house mod of the week, which this week is Reaper's The Necromancer Tower by Reaper 9111. And this is a really cool looking and atmospheric tower that comes with a devil of a lot of, landscaping south of Anvil along the shores of Valenwood. And it basically adds a large set of swamps with some, really lovely yet, kind of creepy lighting settings around this distant Necromancer's tower. And I'm going to be recording a lot of these mods in today's episode around, night time, because that does, kind of fit in with the theme here. Plus the landscaping here just looks amazing at night. And you've got a really, sort of tight and narrow road that takes you up to the main tower here. But there's also all of these swamps and bogs that are beautifully detailed with ancient skeletons, old shipwrecks, and the remains of a, massive sea beast that have somehow, found their way to this distant shore. And with the thick, glowy fog, and this mod, just really fits the traditional creepy and evil tower theme right on the head, really, with excellent atmosphere and landscaping design. I really like all the little details that the author has added in here. The main Necromancer's tower itself, though, is actually, kind of off on its own little island here in the sea, surrounded by these bogs and swamps, and, connected to the Valenwood mainland by a straight and narrow ancient stone bridge, which comes with a set of gates that normally, open up automatically when you approach them. There's also another shipwreck here on the other side, and the tower itself is really, quite foreboding looking. You can just imagine a vampire, necromancer, or some other practitioner of the dark arts making this their, sort of their lair or home. And there's also multiple balconies, decks, and platforms up on the higher reaches of the tower to give you some beautiful and amazing views of the surrounding landscape. And you can see the Necromancer's tower on the map here, and it does come with a map marker. Actually, 2 map markers. One will take you to a raft that'll connect you to the tower's grounds, and the other will fast travel you, straight to the tower itself, and it's a fairly modest commute outside of Anvil. And right inside the main tower, you'll find a fairly decent-sized throne room that, looks like a truly evil lair, with red lighting, gargoyles, skeletons, and a throne of bones for you to, hold court over with your reanimated minions. And of course, your new throne room does, also include a few display cases off to, the side as well, and it's a very atmospheric room to say the least. Upstairs, you'll find the central library, which includes a lot of really neat features and decorations. Really, the author has gone all out to make this a really, cool and unique looking home, with a library that includes a fish tank and numerous dark tomes, some of which will actually add new spells to your inventory, including a spell to teleport back home at any time. Naturally, there's also a laboratory, which no Necromancer's lair is complete without, and the decorations here are really top-notch, evil themed. You even have a boiling cauldron of a strange-looking green ooze, just like in the movies. There's also, pulsating orbs, more skeletons of course, and a variety of interesting statuework to remind you of your evil alignment. And of course, there's a ton of cool functional features in this laboratory, including the alchemical cauldron here, which allows you to brew potions right on the spot. A bleeding heart, which you can use to fill up bottles of blood if you're, a vampire. Altars of enchanting and spell making, a Varla stone dispenser, a poisoned apple kit for creating poisoned apples for, NPCs to eat. Not to mention, there's also an ingredient sorter for both mainland and Shivering Isles ingredients. And anyway, moving on to the master bedroom, you've got a really cool looking evil set of private quarters to call your own, including a skull fountain and a star-mapped ceiling, which actually rotates, which is just, kind of neat looking, really. But anyway, you've also got a small lounge with a fireplace, a plate to eat your meals on, and by the way, the dinner here is actually a container with respawning food for you to eat. And naturally, there's also a master bed as well, and a bathtub for you to, draw baths in. And there's also an access to an outdoor balcony up here as well. This tower also includes 1 guest bedroom with a full set of amenities that can be used by your favorite companion, including a small lounge, a study, dining area, and of course a bed for them to use, all of which is decorated with that, same evil flair as the rest of the tower here. And you'll also find a storage hall and display hall in the basement with labeled, storage containers and a few display cases to store your stuff in. Now, since this is, sort of an evil necromancer's lair, it of course comes with a set of prison cells deep in the darkness below the tower, where you can keep prisoners, torture them, cut off their heads with a guillotine, or whatever else you have in mind. And, there's even one captive already down here that you can use to feed on if you're a vampire, and there's also a small ingredient garden in one of the cells here. And last of all, there's a repair forge here for repairing your equipment whenever you want, including a boost to your armorer's skill as well. And overall, the Necromancer's Tower is a beautiful, in an evil sort of way, home that's perfect for necromancers, vampires, and those who practice the dark arts. It includes a lot of, really atmospheric landscaping and unique interior design with tons of features, some of which I'm sure we've missed, including a map marker, companion bed, altars of enchanting and spellmaking, an alchemy station, torture chambers, and plenty of other features that are just, too numerous to mention. This house does also come with a quest that you need to do first, and it should be mentioned that the author also released a version of this house with a town in a different location, if you'd prefer to play that. I've included a download link to that version in the video description below. And regardless, this is a fantastic home that, comes with a modest commute to Anvil and is ideal for, darker sort of characters. Next up, we have our new house mod of the week, which this week is Saruman's Tower by V-Pacceus. And as you might expect, this mod adds the famed Saruman's Tower from the Lord of the Rings movies, the game world of Oblivion, which, as you can see here, is pretty much a 1-to-1 scale replica of the original tower, or, close enough anyway. I mean, it's pretty bloody massive one way or the other, including a lot of that black stone architecture that just, looks evil looking from the color of it all. And it should be mentioned that this mod does also include distant land files, which I believe makes this tower visible from far away across different parts of the province, because it is quite tall, possibly even taller than the White Gold Tower in the Imperial City. But anyway, you can see it on the map here, and it does obviously include a map marker as well as a modest commute from Bruma, and it's just a little ways past Applearch, really. And inside you'll find a really dark main entry hall that includes a staircase leading up to the rest of the tower, and it's definitely a pretty evil looking, kind of place. There is a small storage closet here on the first part of the main tower, including an orc in a cage, interestingly enough. Anyway, you'll find a teleport pad to take you up to the upper levels of the tower, including a set of personal quarters, and the rooms here are, pretty closely designed after the movie, at least, this main entry hall area is. And over here you'll find the master bedroom, including a bed and some pre-decorated tables and containers for you to use if you so desire. And there's also a small display hall, though again it's already pre-decorated, and it should be mentioned that this mall does kind of have a lot of overpowered items here. This is a free-to-use house after all, and most of this stuff can just be picked up and used right away, including some powerful weapons and lots of valuable items. But anyway, there's also an orc companion here if you want. You can, have him follow you around and fight for you and all that as your personal guardian. And a really cool feature here is that this mod does include not only Saruman's throne, but also his staff, which is a usable weapon with some interesting enchantments to it. And the last room we're going to be looking at here is the library and study, which again comes pre-decorated with lots of clutter, as well as altars of enchanting and spellmaking, not to mention a full alchemical set for you to use for making potions and the like. And overall, this is a really unique house mod that takes an iconic evil wizard's lair and gives it to you as a place to call home, and it does also have a fair number of features, including altars of enchanting and spellmaking, as well as an alchemical set, a map marker, an orc companion, a new unique staff, and a modest commute into Bruma. And this mod is a bit on the overpowered side for a free home, but if you don't really, care about that, it's certainly a very cool looking and unique house mod to check out. Finally, we have our underrated house mod of the week this week, which this week is Necropolis by Eisenhorn. And with this mod, you'll find an old book in the library of the Archmage of the Arcane University in the Imperial City, with a pretty long story attached, telling the tale of a necropolis in the mountains of Cyrodiil. And this will lead you to an ominous-looking tower with glowing-eyed skulls along the mountain chain west of Bruma. And from the outside, this doesn't really, look like much, just a solitary, if, kind of creepy tower with a sealed door. And before we head on inside, you can see the necropolis on the map here real quick, and it does, include a map marker. But it's not really that close to anything. It's a pretty long commute to the nearest city of Bruma, going through some, pretty rough terrain. But anyway, once you get inside this tower, you'll find a magical portal that'll take you to a large underground chamber, the heart of the necropolis. And at first, there isn't really much here, just, ruins and something to note here, you're going to need a pretty high conjuration skill in order to raise the dead here and begin reconstruction, because this necropolis is in a state of disrepair. And each part of the necropolis can be rebuilt for a cost, and the total repairs will run you about 10,000 through 15,000 gold in total. And real quick, I did want to show off the repaired chamber here, which includes a new bridge leading to the main entrance of the necropolis, and it's a pretty creepy looking cavern as well. Definitely some nice atmosphere in here. And here you can see the main entry hall to your new necropolis chambers, and this is a rather interesting entrance. It certainly feels like an ancient set of ruins that have long since been abandoned. And moving on into the next room though, once you've got everything repaired, this is sort of the main chambers that connects everything else to all the major rooms and services that come with your new underground abode. And there's a number of display cases in here for you to use, as well as, plenty of ingredients that you can also harvest from the plants here. Now, one of the largest wings of your new ruined necropolis home is the library, which is this large hall here, including several bookshelves lined with books and a couple of dozen desks, some of which have the ghostly former inhabitants of this former city still lingering through the stacks of books and reading at the desks here. And towards the back here, you'll find a bunch of altars of enchanting and spellmaking, about 3 of each, I believe. So you'll have, plenty of room to work on your magical items. And some of the ghostly NPCs you see hanging around are actually merchants that can, buy and sell items, like this fellow here who can, sell you books and spells, and can recharge your enchanted equipment. There's also an armor forge here where you'll find a few decorations, but, mostly the forge here isn't usable. There is a ghostly smith, though, that can repair your gear, and he also has about 2,000 bartering gold, which is, pretty good overall. Now, another pretty massive wing of this dwelling is the alchemical laboratory, which you can see here, and this includes a very atmospheric and cool looking main hall here. And I just really love the design of this place, and of course the main feature of these chambers is the ingredient gardens. You'll find a large number of different plants being grown here that you can harvest for alchemical purposes, including, several that are a bit on the rare side. And of course there's an alchemist ghost here who can sell you potions and ingredients. And there's an alchemical station here as well for, making your own potions. And you also find a set of storage halls where you can keep your excess items, and these are protected by a set of guardian ghosts who will attack any invaders who try and steal your treasures. And of course, there's a set of personal quarters, including an antechamber where, there's a few potted plants and a teleport pad to the outside. And here's the main quarters, which includes a small study area, a few bookshelves that you can use for, displaying items, a master bed, and, just some general storage and a small personal library. And anyway, through the portal in your personal quarters, you can actually get to a mountaintop observation tower where you can see a lot of the surrounding landscape and get some, really amazing views of the night sky here. And overall, this is a really cool looking house mod that has, a pretty unique design to it, requiring you to rebuild it, and it does come with a rather lengthy background story, which, I always appreciate. It also has a number of features, such as an alchemy lab, lots of ingredient gardens, altars of enchanting and spellmaking, a map marker, and NPC staff that can buy and sell items, as well as offer, other services. And it does have a fairly long commute for your first time visiting though, but other than that, it's a really great home for a necromancer or someone else of, evil intent. And anyway, that wraps up this episode of Oblivion House Mod Hunters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time with our next batch of mods.